parties want a JPC, but they can't bear to stand with each other. Somebody is standing at gate number 1 and protesting, that's your party. Somebody is standing 150 meters away and protesting at the Gandhi statue. Somebody is going from point A to point B, both 150 to 200 meters apart, but not standing with either of the other two on both ends. What's going on? Isn't this advantage Modi? You're on mute, Sanjay.
Oh, you can hear me? No.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good evening to you and to all the panelists and the viewers. My short response, Navika, will be this. That these were the similar predicament that all opposition parties faced in both UPA 1 and UPA 2. I mean, you have parties that compete against each other in states. Yes, there is an inherent contradiction. And yet at the same time, everyone understands that there is a larger goal, there is a bigger enemy that you need to control and that you definitely need to fight against. And if you look at the current situation in India today, Mr. Modi's government actually has proved Dr. Manmohan Singh right. I remember being close to the press conference where Dr. Manmohan Singh was asked, what will happen if you have a BJP government under Mr. Modi? And he made a very prophetic statement. He said it will be disastrous for India. 9 years later, in retrospect, Dr. Manmohan Singh hit the nail on the head. It's not just the death of democracy that we debate about every day, Navika. Look at the state of the economy, the kind of communal stress India goes through, the death of institutions, the freedom of the press that you belong to, and overall, I would say just a culture of political corruption that has seeped into our mainstream, or rather into our bloodstream. And I'm bringing here the crony capitalism of Mr. Adani, whose proximity to Mr. Modi only makes me remember that famous song from Brahmachari, Aajkal tere mere pyar ke charche har zaban par, sabko malum hai aur sabko khabar ho gayi. So I think the bottom line is this. I agree with you, Navika, that today the opposition has a challenge and they all need to recognize, including the TMC, that if the BJP were to win in 2024, the existential crisis is not just for the Congress, but it's for AAP, it's for TMC, it's for Shiv Sena, it's for Samajwadi Party, everyone put together. So I think if collectively the parties do not wake up to the reality that you need to fight this together, then I do think it will really play into the playbook of the BJP.
Well, Dr. Sanjay Jha, let me just interrupt you. No, let me just interrupt you. You've made a lot of points. Let me just ask you, if there is a dead democracy that you talk about, and I assume you are more, I believe you are more logical and realist than anybody else in the Congress party. If the democracy is dead, why are 52 or 54 members of parliament still carrying on to be members of parliament if democracy is dead? Haven't the people of India chosen these Congress parliamentarians? Why do they enjoy the privileges of the same parliament, the same privileges that come from taxpayers' money? Why do they stand there every day, hold up and spend public taxpayers' money in stopping and stalling the House? Number one. Number two, if you say institutions are all dead, are you saying that courts in this country are compromised and they weren't, that's the last bastion? You're talking about the media having to kneel down. May I ask you, night after night, you come on my show, say whatever you have to say. I don't interrupt you. You say what you have to say. We ask the questions to the government spokesperson and the ruling party spokespersons. We pose each of those questions to them, and you say that media independence is dead. Dr. Sanjay Jha, is there any sense of realism in opposition parties' mind today, or is everything just so full of rhetoric that you've started to believe your own rhetoric?
Navika, let me tell you, I think a lot of people confuse electoral democracy with governance democracy. Yes, we have elections, and I am not, even if I am skeptical about some of the decisions the Election Commission takes. I do believe that that is one saving grace that we have, that at least we have elections. But what happens between two elections is equally important. And like it or not, there are institutions in this country that are vulnerable. You had a situation under Mr. Modi's government in the first tenure where 4 judges of the Supreme Court had to come and say India's democracy is in a serious threat.
And one of those judges who was in the so-called anti-government camp at that time became the Chief Justice of India, and then the Congress had a problem with him becoming the Chief Justice of India as well. So what are you saying, Dr. Sanjay Jha?
Now, Navika, listen, nobody could have forecasted the kind of issues that confronted Mr. Gogoi later on, right? We all know the various extremely unsavory episodes that happened while he was there as the Chief Justice of India. I don't want to comment on him, but I want to make the bigger point that the CBI ED income tax story, the way Mr. Adani suddenly blossomed into becoming the second richest
Mr.
man
Adani
in the
got
world,
his first port, got his
time.
first port under the Congress regime. So was he a buddy of yours?
Well, I can tell you one thing, Navika. One thing cannot be denied. And I agree with you that I come on your program and I'm not saying that there are not pockets of journalists who are doing their bit. But you also have to recognize that all those people who have understood India on civil liberties and call us an illiberal democracy or a flawed democracy or an elected autocracy or a democratically elected leadership are not wrong either. There is so much of threat to NGOs.
How can two opposites be right and still coexist? आप कह रहे हो democracy है भी और नहीं भी, and both are universal truths that people should believe.